Hello, this is Dean Radin, and I'm on Your Superior Self.
Hi, I'm Anita Murjani, and this is Your Superior Self.
Hello, this is Dr. Raymond Moody, and this is Your Superior Self.
Hi, Cultural Creatives. I'm Bruce Lipton, and I'm here to join you with Your Superior Self.
This is Paul Selig, and this is Your Superior Self.
What's up, everybody? I'm Aubrey Marcus, and this is Your Superior Self.
What's up, guys? I'm Michael Sandler, and you're on Superior Self with myself and True Downs. Woo-hoo! How does it get any better than this?
I was hoping I'd get a woohoo. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Trey?
Awesome, man. I just want to say thank you for taking the time, man. This is fun because I'm a big fan of your show, Inspire Nation, and then to have you on my show, it's kind of cool.
Well, honored to be here, and by my side, we'll see if he joins me or not. He's hanging out in the sunshine, which is rare right now. In the front door is Roo the Rooster, who likes to make cameos at different people's shows. So
I was reading in the book, right? Like he's a rescue rooster.
Yes, he is a rescue rooster.
How'd you rescue him?
Very carefully. We were coming down the road after sunset, my wife and I, on a mountain highway. Highway's a stretch, but it is a state or county highway in Colorado, and a chicken, as the story goes, started running across the road. He'd been abandoned on the side of the road after sunset in coyote country. And so he's running across the road in a panic. I asked my wife, hey, would you mind us if we find out why the chicken crossed the road and I'll pull off safely? She said, go for it. And I spent about 15 minutes on the side of the road with him running up and down the edge of the road and cars whizzing by in a panic, not sure what to do. And there was nowhere for him to go before I'm like, look, I got to get you out of here. And I took off my t-shirt and I kind of threw it over him, scooped him up, and put him in the Tesla with me. And there's actually video. If you go to Inspire Nation show on YouTube, I think you type in the Roo story. And there's actual video. My wife recorded me as I'm sitting in the car with minute number 1 with Roo. Mm-hmm. And it's been I guess a love story. Would you say it's a love story, Roo? Most of the time, a love story ever since.
Oh, that's fascinating, man. So I got your book, The Automatic Writing Experience. Loved it. You got your story in it. You got a lot of tools and methods to help someone through the automatic writing process. I have to ask you, right? So you're so used to having people come on your show and ask them questions. Is it kind of surreal for you now to be the guest and to come on other people's shows and promote your book now?
It's easier. It's much easier. After all these years, I play a very, I guess, high level energetic game. We all do. But over time, the opacity changes. Your ability of that light to come through grows brighter and brighter. It's easier and easier. And so being on other people's shows, it's very easy for me to plug into spirit, say things that I wouldn't usually say, understand things at a higher level than I may even really understand them beforehand. And so it's an opportunity for me to learn, as well as an opportunity to shine my light. So it's really fun, actually.
Mm-hmm. So talk about the writing experience, right? Like what is automatic writing, for one, for those who haven't heard about that, and what's your method?
Automatic writing experience. Thank you. Automatic writing experience is a process where, well, I get done with a bike ride about an hour ago. I've qualified for world championships in swimming and cycling this spring called Aquaman. And I get off of the bike and I'm teaching a class tonight. And it's on opening your third eye, part of our School of Mystics. And I have all these different tools and techniques, but I know I always get to check in with the universe or with my guides in automatic writing before I do a class. Normally, that's first thing in the morning. This morning, it didn't work out that way. So I finish my bike ride. I sit down right here and I write out a few prayers. I go quiet, write out a few prayers. And then through my hands, the universe starts writing back to me and telling me about what I'm going to teach tonight and telling me about the third eye. And it started off, you knew it was going into Ooga Booga land when it says, you don't open your third eye opens you. And you're like, oh boy. And that's automatic writing, is this higher level discourse with the universe that comes through your hand or through your hands if you type, where you're literally in communication with the highest level angels or guides or loved ones or higher self or higher dimensional beings, always at the highest level, always at this level of safety up in the light, so to speak. But it is incredible learnings about the universe, about yourself, about your life, about anything and everything. And the words just spill forth out of you. You don't have to do anything except be present and, clickety clack on the keyboard or write with your pen on paper.
Yeah. When did you discover it for yourself? And like, what was the first piece of insight that was like transformational in your life?
Discover it and transformational might be two different things. I first discovered a version of it when I was taking a class on communicating with the Akashic Masters, the librarians of the universe. And the insight I was given was treated as bogus or bunk, or this couldn't possibly be true. I was told I'd be a leader, I'd be a teacher, I'd speak before thousands and thousands of people from up on a mountaintop, up on high. And I had to read this back as part of a course. I had to read this back to everybody. I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be, God, this is my ego. My ego has totally taken over it. So I was pissed off that my ego had hijacked what could have been a beautiful experience. Didn't do it for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. Did it again, leader, teacher, speak before thousands and thousands from mountaintop up on high, threw it away. Then I had a past life regression session, and it was leader, teacher, thousands mountaintop up on high. And it wasn't until about 8 years ago now, where I had my second near-death experience, and I had another serious injury. I'm down and out for the count. My wife is sick with mold toxicity poisoning, though we didn't even know it at the time. She's down and out for the count. Our finances are in ruin. We're being catapulted off of Maui and what seemed at the time to be our dream home. And I had been a near lifelong meditator at that point, holding space in a meditation center with my wife 3-4 hours a day, every day. And I was lost, Trey. We got back to New Jersey, my wife's childhood bedroom, 2 twin mattresses laid out on the floor in this tiny little room. And I said, well, nothing else worked so far. I know this process that keeps on telling me, leader, teacher, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I've got nothing else to lose. Why don't I see if this thing is real? Why don't I pull on the string and see where it takes me, see where it guides me, and suspend disbelief? Suspend the disbelief that this must all just be coming from my ego. Fast forward a few years, I think 3-4 years ago now, and I've got a #1 podcast out there. I've got a burgeoning YouTube channel. I've just been invited and gone to the Nobel Peace Prize Summit down in Mexico, which is kind of cool.
It is cool.
And I'm speaking before, I'm living in Colorado on the side of a mountain, speaking before thousands and thousands of people. Yeah.
Man, there's so much in there. Near-death experience, right? Did you experience what Raymond Moody, right? Like, he has like eight commonalities that people experience during those near-death experiences, like including oneness, timelessness, connection with the all. Did you feel any of that?
Yes, I didn't get the pyrotechnics. I didn't get the tunnel of bright light. Theoretically possible in the second one, but I think that was just called the Lake Tahoe Sun. But I got what I call a satori, and I first heard that word from Wayne Dyer years ago. It's a Japanese word that means moment of instant awakening or awareness. Doesn't mean I'm enlightened. I've got my wife at the couch next to me. She'd kick my booty all over the place. I'm enlightened. No, but it does mean, at least for a brief glimpse, a complete understanding. an understanding of who and what we are, how we exist in this world, how everything is sewn together, that sense of oneness, that sense of unity, that sense of lightness and grandness of being. It's I don't even have the words to describe it. All of that in an instant, to where when I came to, after smacking the ground on this bike path in Boulder, Colorado, and I've got lots of bones blown up all over the place, so to speak, on the inside, fortunately, I had this beaming ear to ear grin, Trey. I'm like, that's where my woohoo came from. I'm like, whoa.
The first one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was such an amazing, positive, incredible, awesome, horrific, painful, awesome, 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 pain, 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 awesome, awesome, awesome. NDE is not this glorious thing. Think about it, near death. You don't want to go there. But yeah, the EMTs came to me and they all looked at me, and I had this beaming ear to ear grin. They all asked the same question, Trey, did you hit your head? And I'm like, no, but there was such a peace and an understanding and this sense of love and oneness. And I was just, it was if I was floating up here when I should have been down here. And so that understanding has never left me. That feeling, that goes away pretty quickly. And you still, I call it, I don't know if I can swear on your show, but
sure, integration
is a bitch. Okay, we're all one. In fact, there's a book by a gentleman from New York, a monk from New York I read years ago. He made, I'm spacing the joke now, something about we're all one. It was a hot dog. He wanted it with everything. We're one with everything. And, you may be one with everything now, but your wiring is still your wiring. Your ego is still your ego. The chop wood, carry water. That ain't going to stop. How you integrate it in many ways becomes tougher because you have these great understandings and the world is not all there is, but you're here. There was a near-death experience by a compatriot of Freud, and I hope his name comes to me in a moment, Jung, or Jung, depending on how you call it. And he didn't want to come back. He was pissed off, from what I understand, for the rest of his life, saying, God, why did you throw me back there? I had these amazing realizations of who and what I am, and now I'm stuck in the trenches. That integration is rough, but I live differently. I live on a higher plane, not better. There is no better. So I don't care if you're street cleaner. I love you, man. You're freaking awesome. If you're a crazy, insane CEO, I love you too. If you're a crazy, insane, warmongering, whatever, I love you too. We're all just going through this journey, but I can understand it from a little bit of a higher perspective.
Did you go back into the world of sports after that?
Yes, my path was definitely circuitous at that point. I'd been training at that point, sponsored by Rollerblade, training for a world record skate across the country. And at first I said, it's interesting. Your question is very interesting. At first I said, well, of course I'm going to do the skate. And I was interviewed by people and I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to do the skate. Then as the realization of what took place set in, the fact that a father teaching his baby how to walk had stepped out on the bike path in front of me. And the only way to avoid hitting them, and I was going at low speed because I knew tourists would be out. It was later in the day and Sunday after a training session. And I had a great brake sponsor and I still couldn't, I avoided them. I didn't hit them, but I still nearly died. That realization started to set in is that maybe this isn't my path. I did I crutched the boulder, I think 6 weeks after the accident, which was just craziness. That's a 5K. Then I crutched and said some sort of crutching record, I guess, for a half marathon, right? And then I stopped the stupidity and let myself start to heal. But I couldn't fully heal. Things weren't working properly. They weren't sure they'd be able to save my leg, let alone my life. I had to strip off my shoes and feel the earth and start to get balanced. Became one hell of a runner, wrote Barefoot Running, a bestseller from touching the earth and even running up to marathon distance barefoot.
Wow.
Was scared to really play on the bicycle or skate for fear of what may happen to me for many years. Got back into skating when we moved to Aspen, Colorado, or outside Basalt, Colorado. I don't know if it was maybe 6 years ago now. Really enjoy the skating. An Olympian talked me into getting on the bike a little bit, went to some races. My heart wasn't there. I just couldn't get myself to do it, and kind of laid at this low level flame of I'm not competing. I want to play. I was running mountains in Colorado and really enjoying it, but just doing everything off by myself until about a year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, my cousin, who I loosely coach, he qualified for a world championships in an event called Aquaman. It's a combined biking and swimming, and he won the national championships. Thing was, I was swimming with him and I was riding with him at the time he went off and did that. So I was like, And I've got the medal behind me somewhere. No, it's hiding back there. But I qualified for the World Championships a couple months ago, Trey, as well.
Wow.
He got fourth at the Worlds this past year. And so I qualified for the World Championships. And now everything that you see, everything that I do is a reflection of the inner game.
Wow.
It was hard enough training, almost impossible with a new baby. And that's a whole circuitous journey if you want to go there. And I had been hit on my wife's birthday in November last year. I was out training on the bicycle and got hit by an SUV. And so I got a few new titanium parts. And it also had started a hernia that, with food poisoning last summer, a month before nationals, the national championships, ripped itself apart. And so I had a protruding hernia coming into the national championships.
Wow.
So what I did was I basically, in essence, meditated my way through it by saying, how easy can I do this? Where's the flow line? Where is the gentlest path to go through this with the least efforting possible? And if that's enough, and I have a little ability to see beyond, the future's not written, but I had a feeling, if that's enough, I will magically qualify. And if that's enough, I will magically not qualify. And it's all good. So it was part of my spiritual journey. And I did qualify. And I use that as a lotus or a nexus, a loci or a nexus, a focus point that helps me in my non-working hours to get that fitness back, that shape back, but played more from a higher level or more from a deeper inner level now.
Sure. Wow. That's so beautiful. What interests me, right, is you speak to this point in your book about you've had a lot of accidents ever since you were a young child. I mean, even up to this point of getting hit by someone in an SUV. And you also had a past life regression that was facilitated through, I think it was Dolores Cannon's modality of QHHT.
Yes.
And Dolores Cannon was a big advocate for our higher selves communicate through our bodies. Right. Mm-hmm. So everything that we experience in our bodies is the higher self trying to communicate to us. And you've experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of accidents. What do you think the higher self is trying to communicate to you?
Well, I know what I'm going to say she, and it doesn't mean it's a he or she on the other side, but I know what she was trying to communicate with me through and up to just after my NDEs. Then there was a pause of almost a decade, thankfully. And then she felt it's time to give me a little nudge or a little whack. We got to go really down the woo-woo rabbit hole.
Let's go, buddy. Let's go, brother.
we all meet with the equivalent. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's all story. Who knows what the reality is because we're seeing it through a human filter. I'm describing it through my human filter, but we all meet with a team of elders on the other side before we're brought into this life. And we kind of choose our path, some of the lead characters and some of the key, what I call nodes on the timeline of our existence. Key points that are, if we choose for them to be so, real accelerators in our growth. I'm a big sci-fi guy. So if we go in positive sci-fi movies, if we go to Back to the Future and the locomotive, they're loading it up with these bricks. When it hits a certain temperature, ba-boom, and the locomotive accelerates, and ba-boom, it accelerates again. A lot of these acceleration points are determined before our existence here. Now, we choose to come here to learn and to grow. This Earth School is and it doesn't matter. You can call it a simulation, sure. You can call it Pac-Man, sure. Whatever you want to call it. It's here for our growth. That's why we're here, not for our easiness. This is not vacation Earth School. Wish it was. Although I'm learning more, and this is kind of cool. If you understand it, it's really cool. But you go before the elders and you say what you'd like to learn or what you'd like to experience this lifetime, or maybe in all these past lives, you weren't able to overcome certain hurdle. And may I learn how to do that this lifetime? That'd be really exciting. And it's not the big bad thing on the other side of this lifetime is going to be real challenging because you're an infinite being. It's over in a blink of an eye from the perspective of the other side. It seems real here and sometimes really drawn out, but it's over in a blink of an eye. So I went before, as the story goes, the Council of Elders, and I'm this, young little whippersnapper, so to speak. And I want to learn everything I can, everything, Trey. Gimme. And I say, gimme the works. And it's sort of like, I'm forgetting the name of the actor. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the works. And I'm like, no, give me the works. You can't handle the works. Give me the works. All right, Michael, your wish is our command. Boom. We learn through our bodies. And my way, until as much as I could, I renegotiated that contract. There may still be some work to do. Was learning with a painful lesson and a painful lesson, a painful lesson, a painful lesson. But I have this newsletter, Daily Woohoo or dailywoohoo.com. And I was writing about this a few days ago. I've had mystical experiences that I know of since the age of 4 or 5. However, the big transformational experience in my life was age of 10, riding a bicycle, invited out by the babysitter to the babysitter's house where there was a family get together and her cousin wanted to race me on my Huffy bicycle. And I go racing her on the bicycle. She hits a rock, loses control, hits my front wheel. I didn't lose control. I went flying. Precipitating 5 or 6, at least 6 operations afterwards. No ACL. I still don't have the ACL. And, all these, kind of broken parts at a time where they didn't know how to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And after 5 or 6 operations, they're showing me on X-ray, you've got arthritis. You'll be lucky to walk by the time you're 18. You're never going to run again, blah, blah, blah. And I say blah, blah, blah with all respect because I became a pro athlete. So what I learned out of this experience is 1, you're not your body. 2, you're not what anybody else tells you. 3, only you or you in a co-creation with something else is in charge. Don't ever believe the limits, man or woman, for a moment. Rise above that. And it set me free. I do a lot of teaching about escaping the matrix, of living at a higher level from the matrix. The matrix to me is just this low-level vibration that keeps you stuck in soup or molasses. And our job is to stay stuck in that super molasses until we choose otherwise. And in a sense, I was set free at the age of 10 because when you have doctor after doctor telling you what you're not going to be able to do, and it doesn't come true, there's something more to the game than meets the eye.
Is the automatic writing experience awe method? Is that the tool that helps you get outside of the matrix?
It's something I dive into, Trey, every single day. So the cool thing is, it helped me to get out of the matrix. And yes, on a daily basis, we'll use present tense, helps me to get out. And it does a couple other things. I like to say automatic writing, the writing is not the writing, in 2 ways. First off, and this drove my editor nuts when we were getting the book out, and I pulled it back and said, I got to make a bunch of changes. The writing is about the frequency. It goes supra or beyond or above the word. When you go into the automatic writing space, there's an energetic transmission or attunement that you get at a higher level. You begin to feel differently. You begin to get lighter. You begin to see the world differently, even if the guides or whomever on the other side aren't giving you more than chop wood, carry water instructions. There is a frequency. Basically, you're going and bathing in waters that have the most gentle waves filled with information. And you're syncing up with those waves, and the information is perfusing every cell of your beingness. So there's an energetic transmission or attunement. On top of that, the writing is not the writing, because it starts to come to you throughout the entire day. I don't use the term, say, I'm a medium, I'm a channel, I'm a Michael, you're a Trey. But I will say that I hear things throughout the day. I don't typically hear a booming voice. I'm not typically, occasionally, but not typically doing a double take and wondering who's sitting there with me at the table, though I know. With that said, though, information comes to me. And it used to come to me where I'd be doing an interview with Trey, for instance. My head would drop down, I'd go quiet awkwardly. And then I'd bring my head up and go, oh, what I'm really trying to say is, and now it's more instantaneous. So there is me connected to Trey right now, and there's me connected to spirit and hearing from these different channels that goes beyond the spoken word.
I love that. At the very beginning, though, right? Like, how did you discern that for yourself? I know a lot of people struggle with automatic writing at first because the ego gets in the way, or they doubt the information that they get. Was that the same for you? Like, how did you discern that for yourself?
Suspend disbelief. Don't jump off any bridges. Just allow the writing to come, bathe in the writing, bathe in the essence of it, allow it all to flow. Now, there are some interesting rules, and I teach in the automatic writing process some ways to discern what's ego and what's not. But a couple interesting rules of the universe are: one, your angels, guides, or higher dimensional beings, whatever you want to call it, the energy that's watching out for you, doesn't like to interfere unless you ask for assistance. You know, occasionally you might find a tug at the wheel at the last second that kept you alive. That's great. But more than that, usually it requires an ask. Secondly, if you're in your writing and you're not sure if it's your ego, and you say, is this my ego? The ego, it'll use its own language. For me, it basically goes the equivalent of na 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 poo poo. If it's been found out, but it will tell you. So when in doubt, you ask in your automatic writing, who is this? Is this my ego? Is this coming from my higher self? But it's also a felt thing. Ego, and my ego is still alive and kicking, Trey. It hasn't gone anywhere. It ain't egoless. It ain't fearless. It's actually fearful or fear-filled. But you can sense in your writing, even if it's saying you really get to go in this direction, you can feel into it and say, is this a loving message? Is this a higher vibrational message? Or is it from that 1970s song, Freak Out? And if it's Freak Out, that's your ego, man.
I'm always curious, right? Like you had a section in your book where you talked about enlightenment. Do you think the all experience can induce enlightenment?
It can certainly help you. And it becomes an interesting question of what is enlightenment? And I had a discussion with Dr. Andrew Newberg, who studied people's brains, who's done automatic writing and how much their brains change. I'm going to say this without knowing what I'm saying. Automatic enlightenment isn't all it's cracked up to be. That does not imply I'm enlightened. What that means is this concept of I want to be enlightened so I don't have to be here anymore. doesn't make any freaking sense to me. You chose to come here. You chose to be in this body. Your angels are looking at you going, wow, that's really cool. Even we don't do that. You're really daring and brave. You came here to be a creator in this world. You don't create on the other side. You think something, it's there. That's not the same as creating, as moving around Lincoln Logs or Legos or whatever you want to call it. This is a place of creation. If you go to a state of enlightenment, where you don't have to be or do or anything, you don't even have to go back and kick on the couch and have your bonbons. What's the point of being here? So it can help you to see things better, to experience things at a higher level, certainly to work lots of magic, which is really cool. But pyrotechnics are just pyrotechnics, Trey. The work is still the work. No matter how far you go. Now, this is from my limited perspective. I'm not enlightened. From my limited perspective, the chopping wood and carrying water is still good for you. That's part of what we came here to do, but we came here to understand it from a higher level so that we are continuously expanding or spiraling upwards, or like what I teach in the School of Mystics in 2023, to have an elevated state of existence. To me, that's what enlightenment is about. How do I live the game at a higher level, or the level of a mystic, 1 foot on the other side, 1 foot still firmly planted here. Even the Buddha himself was trying to do the work here, or Jesus was doing the work here to help everyone else they could, while having 1 foot here and 1 foot on the other side. To me, that's what this is all cracked up to be. And that automatic writing, no, it's not going to make you the Buddha. It's not going to make you Jesus. I'm not saying that. We should put that on the back of the book. That'll sell a few copies. But it will help you to be a mystic, to live on both sides of the veil at the same time.
I love that. Your experience with awe, the method, right, has also inspired the idea for Inspire Nation, which has had millions of downloads. It's had great guests on there that I love watching it myself. What's been your biggest challenge with the show, right? Like you have all this, you have all these views, you have all these great guests, but what are the challenges when you get to that point?
The biggest challenge, and part of the reason that I've pulled back this year, we're going to 1 or 2 shows, not a week. My wife would kill me. 1 or 2 shows a month going into 2023, where we've backed off quite a bit with baby on board, is, and I say this, yeah, you got to say it. I've gone so far down the rabbit hole, Trey, that I only want to have the deepest level conversations where I'm learning something, I can be genuine, and I'm not just trying to lead the witness because I know, in quotes, not that I'm special, I know more than the guest knows about the topic they've written the book on. I love their book and I love the guest, but I don't want to have to lead them. And so the biggest thing is keeping my spark high, keeping my excitement level high with over 2,000 guests. And I read every single flip in one of their books. And being able to bring that freshness and newness. And I had to step way back this year in order to do that, because to me, the show and my teaching, everything I do is an energetic transmission. And if I'm not being genuine, or the Hawaiian word is pono, meaning true, if I'm not being true on the show, anybody can sniff it out, anybody can feel it. And I don't feel good about it. And I want to feel good about it because my job is to help elevate consciousness, to help bring people up. And if I'm just, doing the Larry King thing, and I love Larry King, but if I'm just doing that, to me, then I'm doing a disservice.
Sure.
So that's been the big challenge.
When you started it though, right? Did you know it was going to be in the consciousness world? Like, did you know that you wanted to help raise consciousness, or were you just kind of like, oh, well, we'll start with, these types of guests, and we're, it just kind of evolved that way?
There was a high level discussion or argument going on between me and the universe I would say between me and the crickets. I didn't really argue with the crickets. So we, got catapulted to from Maui to New Jersey to right behind a highway, just very busy road leading into New York City. And I couldn't afford to get our car registered at the time. And so I'd walk along the highway where one side was trees and crickets and berries, really cool berries. And I would eat them even off the side of the highway. They were cool. I don't know what to think about that now, but they were cool. And the other side was, whizzing by cars of freaked out people getting to New York City. And I would say, what is this show supposed to be about? Is it supposed to be a show on sports or athletics or coming back? Is it supposed to be a show on barefoot running or healing from wounds or the mind or ADHD or learning disabilities or all of these areas that I had some understanding of? But at the end of the day, this discussion always went like this with the universe. Where do you really want to go with the show, Michael? At the end of the day, I want to change people's lives. I want to raise people's vibration. I want to elevate consciousness. If you go all of these other ways, then what you're really trying to do is take a back door to getting to where you want to go. Sort of like barefoot running. I love barefoot running. Really cool. And I taught barefoot running around the country and a little bit around the globe. It was always a process to me, a meditative experience to get people vibrating at a higher level, to get people to connect on the inside. And so universe is speaking to me saying, well, if that's what you want to teach, then why would you teach barefoot running first? Why would you have a podcast about XYZ first? You've got to go for it. And my wife had given us the name Inspire Nation, which I thought, oh, that's just too big and too grand and too who knows what. But then it made sense. Now, I still took some time to focus in. And between you and me, I did a lot of dancing with the YouTube algorithm over the last few years, too much so, I would say, because YouTube wants to polarize everybody and everything. And that's how you'll make your money on YouTube, is the more polarized you get. So originally, I think I was too catch-all-ish. And then it really refined to a level I liked. And then it started even to refine too much. And as I go back into it, so I contracted it and now I'm bringing it back out, giving it room to breathe. But it's been interesting. Since the beginning, it was about raising people's vibration, elevating consciousness, shift humanity.
Sure. Wow. I mean, that's an easy task, right? Like shifting minds and consciousness. I mean,
Well, of course.
Well,
You're doing it right here.
I know,
and
right?
I say that lightly because if you be you, whoever you is who's listening to this, you do it. You don't have to try to do it just by being you. Who are you? You are the divine. You are energy having an energetic experience in human form. If you allow that to come through, if you allow your light to shine, you will naturally help others to shine. You don't even have to try.
Mhm.
With that said, I did put in some time.
How long have you been doing it now, the show?
7.5 years.
7.5 years. That's awesome.
Yeah,
You are the light. You are the divine. I mean, I have been reading, I have been attracting a lot of literature in my life that is pointing towards that we are God incarnate, right?
Of course.
And there's always a part of me, right, that says, who are you to be this? How can you be God incarnate, right? Like, how can you be that when you're just here? You've never had that experience. Are you just buying another concept, right? Is it just like, are you reading books just like you've read books, from big religion, right, that have told you how lowly you are? Is it just the opposite, right? Are you just buying into another concept? But this feels different. This feels different in my heart, right? And I don't know what that means to be God incarnate. I know that it feels good when I say that. But have you ever experienced yourself like on a different level in a God space where you knew you were God incarnate?
An interesting word to throw around. Because to me, it almost implies, coming from a religious world, a bearded white guy up in the sky. I know I am a creator. I know you are a creator. The creator? Well, you are me and you are not me. You are an individual rose on the bush, just as I am. We were both blowing in the breeze together. We're both the same bush, but we're individual roses. But we couldn't be separated from the bush, no matter how much we try. So we are God. We are the divine. Now, we came here in this amnesiac meat suit to play a game, to be blown in the wind, to lose our petals, you know, to have the bees come on us and occasionally maybe sting us. Who knows? No, the bees wouldn't do that. But the point being, at this point, I can't see myself as anything but that. I can question, why is it so difficult? Why are these challenges as they are? Why don't I have well, and I already know the answer. Why don't I understand the totality of the experience? We've been hovering around Children's Hospital Philadelphia, not too far from where you're at now, in case there might be more heart surgery needed for our baby. And we lost her twin in utero last year. You could ask, why do these things happen? But then you understand. This is all part of the learning, part of the teaching. And if you're given the totality of the answer of anything, if there's no amnesia, at least at this level of humanity, this level of our evolution and growth, you're not going to learn anything. So I always know, and I always forget. And it is that pulse to me is everything. That pulse is like the electricity that's powering your show right now. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, that we call alternating current. That pulse of, I know I'm spirit, I forget I'm spirit, I know I'm spirit, I forget I'm spirit, actually helps pump you upwards until maybe there's a point where you never forget that. That's what I'm hoping that I get to, where I never forget. That may or may not be part of the human experience.
Such a good answer. That is such a great answer. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Right. Like, cause for me, it's just a battle of the analytical mind, like going against the intuition part of myself, that heart space, that feeling of like, this seems to be true. Like, I'm so, tired of conceptually trying to understand these ideas, right? Like that you are this, right? But if you break it down and you remove the thought and you remove a lot of the emotion, the fleeting emotion that I am not, and anyway, right? I am this awareness, this conscious awareness, making choices. I can get behind that. And just because, God is so stigmatized, the word, right? Like this word that everyone uses, and everyone has their own perception of what that word means. Like, if I just simply break it down as awareness, right? Thomas A. Campbell, a physicist, uses the basic concept that we are consciousness making choice. I can get behind that if that's God, right? I mean, I agree. We're here having this experience, and sharing this experience with you has been joyous. Been able to read your book and to just communicate. Like, we have a shared mission, and that's to raise consciousness and to help others realize that we are more than these bodies. And through methods like automatic writing, using it as a tool to connect with our higher self and to learn information that is going to help us push us through out of our comfort zones and into new realities that we create, no one else but us, right? Has been a pleasure, Michael. I can't thank you enough for sharing this experience with me right now.
You're most welcome. Let's flip it on its head for a second. Because we've been trained and indoctrinated, particularly in the Western world, kind of the Judeo-Christian beliefs. Who are you not to believe you're God? What gives you the right? What gives you the chutzpah to not believe that you're great, that you're pure magic, that you're pure energy, that you came here out of the nothingness for a special reason? Who are you not to believe in your greatness?
No one's ever put it like that, right?
If you think about it, it kind of disrespects the gift, the magic that is your existence. There are only 8 billion. Oh my God, there are 8 billion. There's only 8 billion out of all of the rocks on all of the worlds and all of the universes, whatever we want to call it. There's only 8 billion of us here. Oh my God, we won the lottery. Even if life is only a one-time shot in the dark, we won the lottery to be here. How special is that gift?
I love that. Speaking of intuition, real quick,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask you this, right? What do you think intuition is, right? Like, what do you think that is that our God power? Is that, where's the imagination, right? Like the imagination is our higher self communicating with us. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
It's information coming to you from inside of you, coming from the into. So it is sort of like, as I'm teaching about the third eye right now, the third eye isn't about looking outwards, it's about looking inwards. And everything is found on the inside. The intuition to me, let's play quasi physics here. Everything's coming to you with carrier wave frequencies. All we have to do is bob up and down at the right frequency and the information comes to us. When you get into that space, into that flow zone, into that silent space, into that zone, if we want to call it, where a torrent of information comes to you. You're in the shower, you're scrubbing away, or Einstein's brushing his teeth, and all of a sudden he's on a motorcycle going the speed of light and flipping on a headlight. And what happens? That didn't come from you. You plugged into a carrier wave frequency. That's what intuition is. So when you go, well, my intellect needs proof of something, that's small mind. Nothing wrong with it. We need that to build things, to engineer, to walk across the street, to keep ourselves safe. That's small mind. However, what you're saying is, but my intuition, big mind, these giant carrier wave frequencies. If we want to go to, I feel like saying elf. I haven't ever used that word in an interview before. We can go back to The Hunt for Red October, Sean Connery, decades ago. And you're in a submarine, a nuclear submarine underground, underwater. ELF is an extra low frequency carrier wave that will communicate from Washington, D.C. to a submarine halfway around the Earth through the ocean. That's the power of intuition. It didn't come from you. You're in the shower and an idea pops up, eureka. That ain't yours. Get it down. You wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, before you, all of a sudden your intellect is kind of violent. It likes to tear things apart and then try to figure it out, break things into the smallest pieces. It's sort of like probably you, definitely me as a kid, taking things apart and then not knowing how to put it back together again. That's the intellect, but it didn't come from you. Gift. Be the receiver with everything you've got and recognize it didn't come from you, and then take action. This is, again, I said, don't jump off a bridge. Take action based on the higher level understanding that it didn't come from you. Now you're playing the higher level game. Now you're being steered by the bigger mind. The mind that is everything, of which you are a part of, you are not the whole of, but playing the game from the bigger level mind rather than the fear-based smaller mind.
And as you do that, do you see the path unfolding before you?
Not only do you see the path unfolding before you, but you become more courageous and you hear more clearly and you have more strength and conviction to step forward. It's self-fulfilling or self-repeating. The more that you take action based on your intuition, the more you begin to intuit stuff that you then get to take action on. And so the world becomes even more of a magical place the more you start to recognize and allow in and take action on the magic.
Can I get a woohoo?
Woohoo! Oh, I hope I didn't wake the baby.
Michael Sandler, this has been a treat. Where can people pick up Awe, the automatic writing experience?
So come on over to automaticwriting.com. And not only can you get the book, you'll get all sorts of bonuses, and you'll get brain entrainment music and lots of good stuff. And there's even a video-based program at automaticwriting.com with live classes with me once a month. How does it get any better than this? Where you learn the fastest way to dive into automatic writing. Now, since I'm talking about vibration and attunement, and I'm sure if anybody is listening, they're feeling their energy go up and up and up. If you go to Daily Woohoo, there we go, woohoo, WOOHOO. If you go to dailywoohoo.com, you can sign up for our daily newsletter where I help bring your vibration up with an attunement and with a channeled message through automatic writing each and every day. That's free, dailywoohoo.com.
Michael, thank you so much for joining, my friend. This has been absolutely a treat. I've always wanted to have you on the show, and so like I've always been a big fan of yours. So to have you on here, man, this has been inspiring for me.
It goes both ways. You ask amazing questions, Trey. You have incredible energy, and to use your vernacular, can't believe I'm going to say it. You are God, Trey.